Lito Briano here, and I wanted to make a Oscar video about a topic that initially I had no interest in making a big comment about, but the time has come. And article after article that I see about it, discussion and conversation that I keep hearing out in the world, I have to finally sound off on the hashtag Oscarssowhite issue. The controversy that has been the talk of Oscar all throughout the last month. Now, the main reason I wanted to sort of avoid the topic is because I have a batch of mixed feelings about it. I celebrate the need for diversity in arts and entertainment as a necessity for a healthier, evolving life as an art form and as just human beings. It's just a good thing. But the other aspect to it is that I feel that the anger and hostility and resentment is being hurled in the wrong direction. And it's not productive to, one, making a better resolution, and two, it sort of becomes hypocritical to the argument in the first place. And I'll talk more about that. But the thing that I think that most people forget, and I think when I mean people, I mean the general public and anybody who wants to get up on a soapbox and complain. I mean, the fact is we love to complain. The Oscars are a famous outlet for venting. It's just so easy to take out frustrations on the Oscars because, well, they don't match what we want. And everybody's different, and the Academy Awards are subjective because they're essentially people's opinions, for better or for worse. But here's the thing, that at its core, we have to remember that the Academy Awards are not made for you. They're not made for me. They are not made for. They're not made for any particular. They're for the industry. They're not for the general public. They're not designed to satisfy. To say this is what we want to do for entertainment. You know, this is. They're awards honoring the best for the industry within the industry. They just happen to be this big multi-million-dollar, marketing frenzy. It's a business. And that's how it's become, and somehow that has made it so that it's everybody's business. Really, they just want your ratings on the television show, but it's just, guys, it's not a People's Choice Awards. It never has been and never will be. I mean, I don't think so. So when we come back to this very, very valid issue, we have to look at some factors. What I just said, the Academy Awards is a small subjective pool of opinions. Are they good or are they bad? Well, that will be debated till the end of time. But more pertinently, the issue about diversity. Now, it's really, in a sense, you got to look at it this way. It's not the idea, it's not the point of the award show to spend time looking at what they can nominate for these particular reasons. It's supposed to be about what everybody's favorite thing is. Yes, things can get crooked. Yes, people vote for silly reasons. Yes, there's, people buying votes and all that crap that comes with it. But when we talk about 20 white acting nominees and how that's so damaging, well, we have to look at a few things. This is the main thing, and this is why I was upset about it, because, again, yeah, it wouldn't be nice to say, yeah, it would be, there are good performances that are worthy from people of color that have been snubbed. But let's look at this year after year. This is not about the whole industry. This Academy Awards, we're talking about the year in cinema in 2015. Now, there are a couple films that have been right on the hot topic with this. Creed, Straight Outta Compton, are the two primary films, Beasts of No Nation, that have been on the topic because they were films that were touted for awards consideration, had worthy contenders, critically praised, but did not make it when it came to the Oscars. Now, there is another factor that I want everybody to look at really hard. Really hard. And it may not be the truth for you. It may not be the truth for me, but I want you guys to really consider it. Consider this. You have 5 slots, and you got to pit your favorites in, because it's supposed to be about that. It's not like, okay, well, I've nominated 3 good actors. Now I need to get a black person in there, and I need to get, a gay and lesbian person in there to make it right. I'm sure people, some people probably do that, but I'm not going to go so far as to say that people are saying, well, shoot, I got to, I don't want any of those minorities in there, or, or that. It's a question of who is being left out. Also what films are being pushed. A little tiny film like Tangerine, which is an independent film about transgendered prostitutes. The studios are probably not going to have the money to spend millions of dollars to market that, and so they're not going to get the time of day, most likely. Controversially, Creed, which has Sylvester Stallone nominated and poised to be the frontrunner to win supporting actor, but where's Michael B. Jordan, the lead actor? You have to consider this. Maybe some people just didn't feel he was one of the 5 best performances of the year. And I find that a lot of people in the general public that are complaining haven't even seen half of the films that have actually been nominated. That doesn't mean that I'm right and you're wrong. It just means that, consider everything before you get on the soapbox. Like, I listened to this argument, but I also saw all the movies. I'm trying to, if I was an Academy member, and I am a man of many colors, many races, many cultures are in my bloodstream. So I am diversity, and I believe in diversity. I'm also a gay man. So I have a lot of things about me that are very all over the map and scream of diversity, right? So I should be, right there for it. But I want to look at it this way, because if I was an Academy member, my job is to pick the 5 best performances, best achievements in directing of the year, whatever. And if I'm sitting there thinking, well, we need to make sure that a black person or a Latino person or somebody gets in like that, because, that's not what this is about. It's a valid issue. Now, when I said earlier that the anger is being directed in the wrong venue, I think that's true. The Oscars should not be the target. One, it's the industry at large that really needs to be challenged about this, because this topic will die probably once the Oscars. In many ways it will die. In some ways it will continue, but it's going to die when the Oscars are up. It's a hot little topic to vilify the Academy, to kind of pick at Hollywood, because it's fun. People love to bitch and complain and whine. Yes, this happened 2 years in a row, where 2014, 2015 we had all white acting nominees. But there's some other things that I'm going to tell you. But you guys, this is not supposed to be the focus of this. This is supposed to be what is the best. Now again, maybe some people just didn't feel Michael B. Jordan in Creed was one of the best films, best male performances of the year. Maybe just not enough people thought Straight Outta Compton was the best. Now, sure, if we had a better demographic in the Academy that was more age mixed and racially mixed, that probably would change things. And I'm glad, and maybe could they have taken some steps to open it up? Absolutely. Their asses are on the line now as this issue is resurfacing. They're going to try even harder. And that's good. It's unfortunate that this had to be one of the main propellant reasons that it had to get done. But that's really, but in the end, that's not what this organization is for. Its responsibility is not to change entertainment. It's not to change the way that the world of entertainment works. It's simply an institution that provides accolades to people who people consider the best of in a given year. So it's a pretty shallow kind of box, because it doesn't really have where to go. What does impact things is where the industry, for example, Straight Outta Compton, even though it's nominated for 1 Academy Award, hey, it's written by 4 white guys. Oh no, there's 1 white woman and 3 white guys wrote Straight Outta Compton, and they're nominated. And it's a movie about black people and black lives. Now, before you get angry at the Academy, have you asked yourself, did Hollywood have to hire the 4 white people to write a movie about black people? Or were there qualified black people that could have been hired? Probably. I mean, I'm not going to make any. There's that whole discussion. But my point is, maybe they were the best of the people who they wanted to hire. But my point is that Hollywood has the opportunity time and time again to offer roles that are great. Like, look at Sicario. That, not only featured a great Latino male performance by Benicio del Toro, but it had a protagonist that was a woman in a part that should have been a man. Hollywood did a great thing in that way. They went against the grain. The director insisted that they cast a female in that role, and you got a great result. Hollywood needs to be taking bigger steps like that at large. That's how diversity really will grow, is when, parts don't necessarily have to go to the pretty white guy. um, or the beautiful white ingenue girl. You know, the industry has a huge responsibility in why a lot of this has happened. The other aspect is marketing. But there's the aspect I was talking about before. Okay, so you know, let's say I'm a member of the Academy, okay, and I'm voting for Academy Awards, and I'm looking at Best Actor. Now, personally, I mean, you might think so. I didn't think Michael B. Jordan came even close to being one of the five best acting performances. I'm glad that it's a movie directed by a black director, starring a black leading man. They did a good job. They made the movie successful. You know, it's a box office hit. It's part of a great series. But just because of those things, that doesn't mean that it automatically needs to be nominated for an Oscar. You know, I have to consider, did I like the movie? I did like Creed. I thought it was a good film. In fact, I thought Stallone did a good job too. But did I think it was awards worthy? No, I didn't. I personally didn't. You know, and maybe what we have to consider that we don't want to consider is that maybe there were just enough people who didn't think it was that good. There was somebody else who was a little bit, you know, maybe liked them a little bit more. And I'm sure he had a pile of votes. Now, I'm not saying that that needs to be where the argument ends, but again, if we have more diverse Academy members, and yes, they get rid of lifelong memberships, inactive members, which is a good idea, then yeah, we're going to see this diversity, and people will, you know, I mean, I'm sure it'll come. You also have to remember, guys, that look at the year 2000 to like 2013. In that span of time, there are so many people of different colors and places. Like 2006, there were 3 black winners. Oh no, there were 2. Sorry. It was Forrest Whitaker and Jennifer Hudson. There was 2004, had Jamie Foxx and Morgan Freeman win. 2001 had Denzel Washington and Halle Berry. Monique won in that decade. That may be all. Octavia Spencer won recently. But then there's countless other nominees. I mean, you had Ken Watanabe. There was Riko Kikuchi, Adriana Barraza, Jaiman Unsu, an African man, was nominated twice in 2003 and in 2006. You had the big surge of Mexican. And by the way, guys, don't forget that a Mexican director, Alejandro González Iñárritu, is likely to get his 2nd Oscar in a row. And 2 years before that, Alfonso Cuarón became the first Mexican to win Best Director. Emmanuel Lubezki, or Chivo as he's known, is a cinematographer who's about to win his 3rd cinematography Oscar in a row, most likely for The Revenant. So it's not like the Academy is completely out of line with, you know, this whole thing. 2004, I think, had like 5 or 6 black nominees. I mean, and it's also not just about black people. There's, you know, Latinos, Asians. I mean, I just think that, you know, the Oscars were getting on an upward trend. I think they've kind of reverted back a little bit. You know, maybe there's something going on. But is it the Oscars' fault? I don't know if that's true. Is there something going on in the industry? I mean, look at television. Now, television's different. Television, I feel like minorities and etc. are booming. They are booming. It's becoming, they're getting better than ever. Viola Davis, you know, a 2-time Oscar nominee, by the way, is now on a hit television show, and there's Orange is the New Black and all these other shows. But movies are having an interesting time right now with that. I mean, what's going on? I mean, we should be asking this question. This argument should be continued after the Oscars, but directed at the industry. Okay, the industry needs to be challenged. Why aren't these good roles being allowed to be, you know, for more women, for more people of color? Diversity needs to happen within the industry, and eventually the Oscars will catch up. And if they take steps to diversify and clean house a little bit, you know, it's going to be fine. I just don't think that this needs to be this. I feel like on the whole, it's one of those, like, you know, gossipy, hateful topics that people want to get up on. I'm not saying it should be taken lightly, but I also don't think that it's appropriate. It's not fair to direct your anger at this institution in this way because, one, their purpose is not to serve your personal needs. Their purpose is not to propel diversity in movie making. That's not what they're about. They're awards. I'm sorry, but it's as cynical and as quickly broken down as it gets. I run an awards organization. I know how this works. You know, I mean, if we're not voting, you know, we should be always striving to vote for what we believe is the best. And you know, personally, if I was a member of the Academy and I was nominating for performances this year, there would have been two people that would have got nominated of color. Benicio del Toro and Idris Elba should have been nominated. They weren't, and it's messed up because they were great films. But I'm not looking at the racial angle about it. You know, it's like Beasts of No Nation also had other problems, guys. It was a movie that was simultaneously released on Netflix. Its primary audience was Netflix, and it snuck into cinemas to get awards attention. Hollywood didn't like it. Hollywood didn't watch it. So that was happening against Beasts of No Nation. It really didn't have much to do with racial politics. It had to do with business politics and marketing politics. And then there's Straight Outta Compton. You know, you guys, again, I thought that was a pretty damn good movie, but for me personally, I don't feel that that is a movie that is an awards-worthy movie. Even the screenplay nomination for that felt tacked on. And the screenplay wasn't really that good. That was not the strong suit of that film. It was a above-average biopic. And by the way, if you want, music biopics, as of late, have had a hard time breaking through at the Oscars. Walk the Line, with all its acclaim, couldn't get a Best Picture nomination. You know, look at that. And the last one that I can think of that was nominated for Best Picture was Ray, and it was about a black man, and that black man, Jamie Foxx, won the Oscar. You know, so it's not like, you know, it's just, we're totally, and look, and Terrence Howard was nominated in 2005, a black man for Best Actor in Hustle and Flow, playing a rapping pimp, for goodness sake. So I think, you know, we're getting on the soapbox, but if you look and do the fact checking yourself, it's really not as terrible as people are making it sound. We may have had a dry year, and you know what? I think that the movie Selma got shafted. I think that, you know, David Oyelowo should have been up for Best Actor, that the director should have been nominated, but they weren't. But Selma had a lot of other problems with it. There was a lot of politics problems that didn't have as much to do with race as it had to do with other issues. That said, you know, we can do better. But I also think that we shouldn't be punishing the Academy Awards the way we're doing it. I think it doesn't help. We end up becoming, in a way, the haters end up becoming bullies as well. And that doesn't change anything, and it doesn't make anybody any better than the people you're critiquing. It becomes hypocritical. Boycotting, you know. And I'm sorry, but there was also the Will Smith performance in Concussion that got snubbed, supposedly. He got a Golden Globe nomination, but, I mean, have you guys seen the movie? I mean, it was an okay movie. Will Smith, hey, you did a fine job, man. It was a good performance by you. I'm not saying it wasn't. But that movie, come on, it was not an Oscar-worthy film by any stretch of the road. I didn't think so. The movie came and went and flopped out of nowhere. So that has to be considered too, and that makes an impact when it comes to Oscars. But, you know, there are good things at play. You know, there are good things. I mean, Star Wars. Look at Star Wars. I mean, that's a good move forward. Now, if things were more like Star Wars The Force Awakens, in which you have like the leading lady and, you know, not needing to be saved by a man, and the black stormtrooper lead, and, you know, the half Latino guy that Oscar Isaac plays. If you get into that mode, you know, that's going to start helping. And again, the industry can directly help with the Oscarssowhite issue. And that's where the argument needs to be taken. And I encourage anybody who watches this, who has any influence or power or protest or anything about this issue, go to the industry. Go to the industry and talk about these things. Continue this argument. Because more people of color and of different flavors need to be included. And we'll get there if we keep this fight. But it's not just about the Oscars, and they should not be demonized for this. So I just gotta say, I just had to let it out, get my 2 cents. Because honestly, guys, I just, you know, I didn't feel that a lot of these snubbed films this year that had, you know, the Ryan Coogler and Michael B. Jordan for Creed and Straight Outta Compton, all that stuff, you know, I didn't even think they were worthy to be here. Consider that maybe a lot of other people thought that. You know, that's another possibility. It's just another way to look at it. I'm not telling you guys you're wrong or that I'm right, but, you know, just consider all the angles before you get on the soapbox. And just think about it. You know, just think about it. This is just food for thought. But I am looking forward to this year's Oscar race. I am thrilled about it. I think it's one of the most interesting and best years in cinema that we've had in a long time. I'm really happy, and I hope you guys can find something to enjoy about this year's awards, because I think it's great. And if movies can continue on this trend in certain ways, we're gonna do okay. We'll get there again. So keep up the fight, keep the love, and I hope that Hollywood gets the message. Diversity, good. All right, guys, peace out.